Senator
Yes.
Nesbitt, for what purpose you rise?
To speak on the bill.
Senator Nesbitt has the floor to speak on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. President, and members of the Senate. I apologize to you all for having to go through the torments of Western North Carolina. Apparently, the old legislature used to have to go through this all the time on annexation, on disputes between cities and counties that we tried to settle over time, and apparently didn't do a good job of reaching a settlement of that, by the way. It tended to alienate the people, but it kept you all from having to endure these debates. But I think this is one you need to hear. The amendment that Senator Apodaca just sent forward, if that had been followed in this case, you wouldn't hear a peep out of me. It requires the counties that are affected by this to ask that it be done. That's the way you build regional agreements. That's the appropriate way to do it. And I'm for regional agreements. I want them to occur because it's a more efficient use of resources. In Henderson County, they do not have a sewer treatment plant out on the, what would it be, the north end of their county. We treat their sewage for them already. We do that by agreement. They don't have a water system on the western end of their county where our water intake is, and they signed an agreement which is still in effect and still being enforced. I think it'll be done away with by this, but as of right now, Asheville had agreed to supply water to that end of the county when they needed it, and the new brewery that they got, a $150 million plus facility, is on Asheville's water system in Henderson County. We got one too, but had they not had the water from Asheville, I don't believe they could have gotten that brewery in there. And that's, I think they estimate 150 plus jobs. It has been a rocky road. We started out in Buncombe County, and actually the law was clear and it's been adhered to for all these years since the 30s, where we put about 6 systems together that all went bankrupt in the Great Depression, and said the city of Asheville will hold these and will own the system, but we passed a bill in the General Assembly that said nobody would be charged differential rates. And every 10 years, whether we need to or not, the city has decided that, well, maybe we should be able to, and they fight over it, and they've never been able to. In 2005, we passed a bill down here that made clear for one final time, you're not going to charge differential rates. You're not going to withhold water from anybody that needs it within our county. You're not going to take money out of the system. You're going to reinvest money into the system because it needed some repair. And all of that has been adhered to. They've not tried to charge differential rates. They have invested about $70 million in that system since 2005. They've continued to supply water to Henderson County under that old agreement that they had back when they had a water authority. And I thought we had peace in the valley. And we elected Representative Moffitt from up there, who doesn't like the city of Asheville, has stated that clearly. He just doesn't like them, and I don't know why. I know they fined him one time for a dump that he had out there, but I don't know what else has occurred. Apparently it must be something else, because that isn't enough to bring about taking of the water system. He drew his district in a way to where he's not in the city of Asheville enough to matter anymore, so he can just attack. And just so you'll kind of get a picture here, people can argue over whether there's been some agreement about water or not. They can't argue about the airport that I can think of. First thing he did was took our airport. And in order to get help from Henderson County, because Senator Apodaca, without him, none of these bills pass. He goes and gets Chuck McGrady as his right-hand man, and off goes the airport, and Henderson gets a third of the board appointments on that new airport authority, and now off goes the water, and they get 20% of the board members on this authority, although the sewer system, once they put in the little one they've got over there, will be only 6% of the system. And in terms of water, I'm not sure they've got any skin in the game, other than that contract with the city of Asheville to supply water out there in the Henderson County area. The water intake that Asheville secured from Henderson County, just so you know everything I know, was actually purchased at fair market value from a landowner there. They had to have Henderson's permission to do it, but it didn't cost Henderson any money, and it wasn't a gift from Henderson. It was bought and paid for out there. The city of Asheville has stood, as I understand it, ready, willing, and able to supply water to that end of the county, as they agreed to back in I think it was almost 90, it was like 95 when they entered into that agreement with Henderson County. And what you have very simply is a situation, and I'm going to say this, Senator Apodaca and I have served together a long time. And I think if he and I were left alone to resolve this thing, we could do it in about an hour and get everybody over there to agree to it. But there's a whole new approach by Representative Moffitt. I don't think he's so interested in getting anything done as he is abusing the city of Asheville. And he just wants to do it in a forceful way to where he's punished them for some sin that apparently they have done to him in the past. And Representative McGrady, now Senator Apodaca represents part of Buncombe County, and he has every right to have an opinion. But Representative McGrady, a Republican up there named Dr. Mumpower, who served on our city council for a while, made a statement, and I said this, and Mumpower is known to be eccentric at best. And I told him at this meeting, I said, I've finally lived long enough to where Carl Mumpower said something that I agree with. And Chuck McGrady was chairing a meeting in Buncombe County about taking our water system, by the way. And I said, he said, Mr. McGrady, when you tell us you're over here to help us figure out what to do with our water system, it's a bit disingenuous. It kind of looks more like somebody casing the bank fixing to rob it. And Chuck, we always thought he was a great, charming fellow when he was coming to Sierra Club meetings in Buncombe. He was president of the Sierra Club, and we thought, well, boy, he's something. We didn't realize he was checking out all of our assets so that when he got in the house, he could start taking them. And he hadn't slowed down a bit. And, I mean, he just thinks he has the right to do that. Now, folks, this is not any way to conduct business. And we've talked about this down here before. If the people in this room know anything, we know that the sun don't shine on the same dog's head all the time. Things change. And you don't start a regional agreement and get everybody's water and sewer tied up in it in a shotgun marriage. Doesn't work that way. It's just the other side's mad the next time, and then we got to deal with that. I was trying to think of a good analogy. It's almost like Henderson County kind of went and got in a cage with a 400-pound gorilla back in '95 and woke up with a hangover the next day. And now they found a cage that's got two gorillas, and that's Buncombe and the city of Asheville, and they're cutting the lock off to climb back in there with them. And for the life of me, I don't see what the long-term deal is here. The people in Buncombe are upset. Of course, the people in the city of Asheville are upset. Asheville's about 70,000 people. Bunkum's about 220, I think, somewhere around there. And this just isn't going to work long term. You just can't do this under these conditions and leave everybody with hard feelings and expect anything to last any length of time at all. Now, the power's here. It's going to pass. But understand that my people rightfully believe that an asset they've invested 100 years in is being taken from them without compensation, against their wishes, that Henderson County will have an undue influence over our future. And by the way, this authority has taxing authority. I know they think it doesn't anymore. It does. It has taxing and assessing authority over Henderson County and Bunkum and the city of Asheville, of course. There are just way too many moving parts in this for any good to come of it. And I think, I ask everybody to look at it, think before you do this. If you don't think it's coming your way, you just wait. Water is going to be more important than oil in this country at some point. And if you don't think your neighbors will steal from you, observe. They'll be there. If you've got water and they don't, and they got power and you don't, they'll take it. And the amendment we passed a while ago says, oh, well, both of them got to write a letter. Well, that's until somebody decides not to. We all know what a statute means down here. The minute you got the votes, you can do anything you want to. And this will be a thing of the future. Now, we were talking a while ago about who all's in this. It's interesting, MSD, the board is a bunch of great fellows. I know most of them. I'm not sure if there's a lady on there or not one that I know of right off the top. But we have the mayor of Black Mountain. We have the mayor of Woodfin. We have an appointee from, we have Bill Stanley, who was on our county commissioners for years. But it's Bunkum and Asheville and 6 municipalities. All of them are sitting there not saying a word because they all own their own water systems and don't want them sucked into this deal. This is not a deal where everybody's getting into play. It's our water system for Bunkum County that's being sucked into this deal. And that's all. And in Henderson County, the city of Hendersonville has a great water system, but it's not regional. It's just Bunkum's that's regional. This isn't regional. It's a taking of Bunkum's assets for the purposes of Henderson County. And it's taking control of it from the people we entrusted it to put it with another board so that Moffett can get even with the city of Asheville. I mean, we could pass a bill and tell Asheville they got to do all this, but that isn't what we chose to do. Or we could have passed a bill that said the Bunkum County Commissioners will take over the water system if you're worried about management. But that isn't what we did. So I ask you to think long and hard. I think we're starting something that I've never seen since I've been here. I've just never seen this before, where you come in and just take control of somebody else's stuff. And the list is as long as your arm of stuff they can come and get that you got. And I urge you to defeat the bill.